If you were to discover something older than that, you'd be very famous. You know, it's like they really looked hard.
Egypt, a land of ancient wonders and timeless secrets, where the sands hold stories that have yet to be told.
There's hieroglyphs that depict a history of Egypt that goes back far longer, maybe even 30,000 plus years ago, but archaeologists dismiss it because they think that that's mythical. It's all about that there's a lot of physical evidence of an advanced civilization from far, far, far longer ago.
One of the most shocking discoveries in recent history has just been made, one that challenges everything we thought we knew.
It involves a lot of things. Yeah, it's not just one single thing, it's a system.
There's evidence that exists now. I mean, some modern researchers whose work has been buried or suppressed, I think we're getting very close.
In this mind-blowing video, we uncover the details of an 800,000-year-old queen buried in the heart of Egypt. But here's the twist. It's not what you think.
He found evidence of deliberate burial in a very complicated, difficult cave system, which you can hardly access. 500,000 years ago is pre-anatomically modern human.
On January 25, 2011, the streets of Cairo erupted with protesters demanding the end of President Hosni Mubarak's 30-year rule. Amid the chaos and global attention focused on the turmoil above, a remarkable discovery was quietly unfolding far below the surface.
The most stunning of all these ancient structures. The stones are immense, and some of them were cut from a quarry that's hundreds of miles away. How do you think they did that? Mass burial sites inside of a cave. Ancient human species would slowly learn the things that we learned.
Deep in the ancient dusty tunnels of the Valley of the Kings, a team of archaeologists led by Suzanne Bickel from the University of Basel in Switzerland was on the brink of uncovering one of the most significant archaeological finds of the century. The team had stumbled upon the top of a large, round stone at the eastern end of the valley. Initially, they thought it might be just the top of an abandoned shaft. However, the stone was part of something much more extraordinary. The archaeologists had uncovered the entrance to a previously unknown tomb, later identified as KV-64. This was a breakthrough, as the Valley of the Kings, a royal burial ground for pharaohs and nobles, had not seen such a significant discovery in decades. Before they could explore further, they had to navigate Egypt's strict regulations for archaeological discoveries. They carefully covered the stone with a locked iron door, informed the Egyptian authorities, and applied for the necessary permits to continue their excavation. This time with a robust team of around 24 experts and laborers. Among them were Elena Paula Groth, a distinguished field director from the University of Basel, and Egyptian inspector Ali Rita. Local workers whose families had lived in the area for generations also joined the team. The atmosphere buzzed with anticipation as they prepared for the untouched for millennia, held secrets of a long-lost era. Amidst the debris inside, the tomb rested a dusty black coffin, a remarkable find. It was carefully carved from plane tree wood and adorned with large, vibrant yellow symbols that stood out boldly on its sides and top. The craftsmanship was wonderful, and plaster, materials commonly used by ancient Egyptians to seal tomb entrances. These findings, combined with the dating of nearby sites, indicated that the tomb was likely over 3,000 years old, dating back to the New Kingdom period, a time when pharaohs like Ramses II and Tutankhamun ruled Egypt. The symbols reveal that the tomb belongs to a woman named Nemes Bastet. Experts in ancient Egyptian history, known as Egyptologists, believe she was a high-ranking lady associated with the Amun Temple. Nemes Bastet lived during a time when Egypt was a hub of cultural and religious activity, making her burial site particularly captivating. For years, people have been saying that there is nothing new to discover in the Valley of the Kings. This belief dates back to the time they started digging there. Giovanni Belzoni, an antiquarian from Venice, thought he had uncovered the last of the tombs in the valley during his expedition in 1817. About a century later, another excavator named Theodore Davis also believed he had finished exploring the valley, just before the famous tomb of Tutankhamun was discovered. the Valley of the Kings has long been a treasure collection of ancient wonders. During the New Kingdom period, it served as the burial ground for pharaohs and powerful nobles from the 16th to the 11th century BCE. Each tomb tells a story of the individual buried within and the society that built it. These tombs are often decorated with detailed wall paintings and inscriptions that provide insights into the religious beliefs and daily life of ancient Egyptians. Fortunately, a growing number of people now think there are still many hidden treasures waiting to be found in the Valley of the Kings, the Nile Delta, and across Egypt. Modern technology, such as ground-penetrating radar and 3D mapping, has revolutionized the way archaeologists search for and study ancient sites. These advancements have led to the discovery of previously hidden chambers and artifacts, suggesting that the valley still holds many secrets. Discoveries like Nemesis Bastet's tomb continue to spark interest in these ancient mysteries. The artifacts found within her tomb, although simple, can provide valuable information about the burial practices and daily life of the upper class in ancient Egypt. Items such as pottery, jewelry, and amulets often hold symbolic meaning and were believed to protect and provide for the deceased in the afterlife. It is fascinating to see that even a wealthy woman from this period was buried with rather simple belongings. Bickle notes that Nemes's plain wooden coffin and basic steel tools stand in stark contrast to the luxurious pottery, furniture, and food found in older tombs. Though her wooden coffin was quite costly, it lacked the complex inner coffins seen in other similar burials. Could this be the resting place of an incredibly ancient queen? The discovery of Nemes's coffin has caused quite a stir among Egyptologists. Unlike the elaborate gold and jewel-encrusted sarcophagi of well-known pharaohs like Tutankhamun, Nemes's burial suggests a different social status or possibly an even older time. Wooden coffins were typically used for those who could not afford stone, yet the craftsmanship indicates she was still an important figure. After reinforcing the coffin and securing the mummy, Bickle's team transported it across the Nile to Luxor. There, a thorough investigation is currently underway to uncover the true identity of this mysterious woman. Advanced imaging techniques, including CT scans and 3D reconstructions, are being used to study the mummy without damaging it. DNA analysis may provide clues about her lineage, potentially linking her to known royal families or revealing previously unknown connections. With significant insights into the controversial finds of ancient Egypt, people often find that the simplest tombs with wooden tombs turn out to be the oldest. Additionally, their symbols are frequently more wonderful in detail. Some experts believe that earlier periods focused more on the quality of descriptions rather than the excess of burial goods. Could this be the discovery of an original burial, with the simple signs falsely claiming the identity of the occupant to conceal the tomb's true ancient origins? Some perimeter scientists suggest that Egyptian antiquities might be hiding a sacred truth. They believe that the Egyptians merely copied the original builders of the pyramids, taking over their structures after they were already constructed. Years later, people continue to uncover fascinating evidence supporting these claims in various forms. In 1995, a remarkable discovery was made under Giza by a team led by Kent Weeks. They unearthed over 100 underground chambers, shedding new light on the ancient site. Some alternative researchers propose that the history of ancient Egypt might be entirely different from the official narrative. According to these researchers, the inhabitants of the Pharaonic Empire were not the original builders of the pyramids. Instead, they believe the Egyptians simply copied the grand structures created by an earlier, unknown civilization. But how credible are these claims? Is there any substantial evidence to back them up? Supporters of this theory often point to the significant erosion patterns found on the pyramids and, most notably, the Sphinx. They argue that the heavy rainfall that caused these erosion marks suggests that the stone guardian is much older than mainstream experts believe. Detailed studies of past rainfall patterns indicate that the erosion does not match the presumed period when the pyramids and the Sphinx were built. Remarkably, some theorists suggest that these structures could be as old as 800,000 years. However, this idea presents a major challenge. The current understanding indicates that Homo sapiens have only been around for about 300,000 years, making it seemingly impossible for humans to have constructed these monuments at such an ancient time. If these claims hold any truth, they would radically change the understanding of human history and ancient civilizations. The possibility that an advanced society predating known human history might have existed is both thrilling and bewildering, inviting people to rethink the origins of some of the world's most iconic structures. What's remarkable is that these chambers show evidence of multiple flash flooding events involving seawater throughout the ages, suggesting a complex history people are only beginning to understand. What adds to the mystery is the absence of any written records detailing the construction of these monuments. Despite extensive code writings found in ancient Egypt, there's no mention of how the pyramids or the Sphinx were built. This interesting gap in historical records sparks curiosity. Surprisingly, more hasn't been shared about such a significant find, leaving people to wonder about the implications of this discovery. Could it be a groundbreaking but controversial revelation? Delving into Kulab, a site that had been explored extensively. Apart from its massive ancient wall surrounding the entrance, Kulab's location atop a naturally formed hill challenges previous assumptions made by academia. This site holds layers of history waiting to be uncovered, potentially reshaping the understanding of the past. Upon exploring this site, the construction of the wall, upon closer examination, revealed a monumental feat of human labor and engineering. Yet what lay beyond this formidable barrier surpassed mere natural formation. It was discovered that the area behind the fortress had been intentionally filled with earth, shaping a plateau. This revelation challenged the long-held beliefs of experts who had overlooked the possibility of human intervention in its formation. Moreover, the plateau wasn't just a random occurrence, but a deliberate creation. Geologists, academics, and archaeologists had previously missed the signs of deliberate human activity in shaping the landscape. What became apparent was not only the painstaking creation of the plateau to support the fortress, but also the ingenious design of its entrances. These passageways proved the remarkable intellect of the builders, allowing access to the site. However, as invaders attempted to breach the fortress, they faced not only the challenge of narrow passages, but also strategic vulnerabilities. Furthermore, the entrances weren't mere openings, but intricately designed pathways. Some were wide enough to deceive invaders into a false sense of security, only to gradually narrow down, exposing them to attacks from above and from both sides as they advanced towards the mansion itself. This strategic design made infiltration easier but more possible for larger groups. Deep within a complex cave system at the site, accessible only after descending a staggering 800 meters underground, lies a hidden burial chamber. This chamber wasn't just a resting place, it was carefully crafted to ensure the preservation of these individuals' remains for centuries. Moreover, its construction aimed to thwart tomb raiders, who have destroyed countless burial sites across history and various cultures. Among the treasures unearthed are wooden idols adorned with detailed carvings and treated with advanced preservation techniques lost to time. These artifacts have defied the ravages of time and climate, offering tantalizing clues to the advanced skills of the ancient inhabitants. However, what sets this discovery apart are the mummies found within the chamber. Unlike anything seen before, these mummies are remarkably intact, with intricate facial features and well-preserved clothing hinting at a sophisticated culture. Their presence challenges existing theories about the site's creators and promises to unravel one of archaeology's greatest mysteries. Thankfully, despite the widespread looting of ancient tombs over the years, this burial chamber remained concealed and untouched until now, holding the potential to rewrite history books. Even though mummies were absent, archaeologist Warren Church remained determined to unlock the secrets of Los Pachucos. For nearly 2 decades, he delved into his work, driven by the mystery surrounding the site. Los Pachucos, a marvel of ancient engineering, stood as a fortress against time. its construction reflected tremendous effort and ingenuity. The Cloud People, or Chachapoya, as called by the Incas, inhabited these ruins which dotted the landscape of Peru. Despite the challenges, they thrived until the arrival of the Spanish, but their downfall was hastened by the introduction of smallpox. What makes the Cloud People exciting is not just their resilience, but also their cultural expressions. They left no written records, but adorned their environment with intricate stone carvings illustrating orchids, butterflies, and jaguars, offering glimpses into their beliefs and surroundings. Church's discoveries went beyond the surface. He uncovered evidence of the Chachapoya's agricultural skill, carving terraces into steep slopes for farming, showcasing their adaptation to the environment. In a remarkable find within the site's burial chamber, Church unearthed mummies revealing startling details. Contrary to expectations, these mummies had European features, fair skin, and blonde hair. This discovery raised questions about the origins and interactions of ancient peoples across continents, hinting at possible transoceanic connections. Church described these mummies as some of the most captivating relics from the past he had ever encountered. Were these ancient mummies the original architects of this breathtaking site, or were they newcomers like the Incas settling here later? How they arrived in the Peruvian hills and became custodians of this remarkable place remains one of history's interesting puzzles. Yet, scattered across the globe, mummies with features resembling Europeans have been unearthed. Does this tantalizingly suggest the existence of a once great civilization, like the legendary Atlanteans, sharing their wisdom worldwide before some explosive event? Regardless of their origins, the research conducted by the Church is truly commendable, and these discoveries are endlessly fascinating. In the year 1835, amidst the fields of Kent, UK, an ordinary laborer was going about his daily work when his shovel struck the ground in just the right spot, revealing something extraordinary. As his shovel made contact with the earth, it seemed to vanish into the ground, exposing a hidden doorway to an underground realm unknown to the surface world. The laborer soon realized he had stumbled upon the entrance to a network of mysterious caverns lying beneath the Earth's surface, invisible from above. News of this astonishing find quickly spread like wildfire, igniting curiosity in everyone who heard about it. Eager to unveil the secrets hidden below, a local school teacher bravely volunteered his son, Joshua, to embark on a daring journey into the depths below. He described a mesmerizing sight. Intricate runes etched into stones and adorned with millions of meticulously arranged seashells forming a breathtaking mosaic. Initially met with skepticism, his claims were doubted by many. However, when the entrance was widened, allowing curious onlookers to behold the spectacle with their own eyes, their skepticism transformed into awe as they beheld the stunning beauty of the shell-laden chamber. Today, this marvel is renowned as the Shell Grotto of Margate. Yet despite its fame, the enigma surrounding its origins and purpose persists. Covering nearly every surface from walls to ceilings, the mosaic spans approximately 190 square meters and comprises an estimated 4,600,000 shells. These shells, carefully selected for their color and shape, create an otherworldly ambiance within the grotto. Scholars have ventured numerous theories to unravel the mystery of its creation. Some speculate it to be a whimsical project of a wealthy individual during the 18th or 19th century, while others propose it to be a relic of prehistoric times, possibly serving as an astronomical calendar or holding ties to the secretive Knights Templar. What adds to the interest is the absence of scientific dating. Despite its fame, the Shell Grotto of Margate remains untouched by modern scientific analysis, leaving its age and purpose shrouded in mystery. This absence of concrete evidence only adds to its mystery, inviting further speculation and wonder. Delving deeper into the mosaic itself reveals a fascinating array of shell varieties. While local shells like mussels, cockles, limpets, scallops, and oysters dominate the artwork, it is the flatwinkle that forms the majority of the background infill between the intricate designs. This particular shell's prevalence hints at a deliberate choice, perhaps suggesting a symbolic or practical significance to its use within the mosaic. However, this shell is an exceedingly rare find, scarcely seen in local areas. It likely washed up on shores located to the west of Southampton, carried by ocean currents. The shell grotto, although stunning, remains relatively obscure in public awareness. Further scientific inquiry is essential to unlock the secrets behind its remarkable construction. Nestled within Laos, a landlocked country in Southeast Asia, lies one of the most mysterious archaeological sites known to humanity. Over the years, researchers have delved into countless newspaper archives, sifted through oral histories, and even recovered stolen remains of an ancient human species believed to be much larger than modern humans. Moreover, across various parts of the world, there are intriguing discoveries of ancient giant artifacts. These artifacts include tools, utensils, and massive structures that seem impractical for people of our stature today. They hint at the existence of a race of beings much larger than us, with capabilities beyond our understanding. Adding to the mystery, our archaeological site in Laos stands as a compelling piece of evidence possibly left behind by this ancient race of giants. One of the most intriguing mysteries of the ancient site known as the Plain of Jars revolves around the enigmatic figure called the Frogman. This vast area, located in Laos, is scattered with thousands of giant stone jars, each crafted on such a grand scale that they seem impractical for any modern human use. The Plain of Jars spans across Xiangquang Plateau and is divided into several sites, with the largest containing over 400 jars. Some of these jars reach up to 3 meters in height and can weigh several tons. The original purpose of these stone jars, situated in remote and often rugged locations, remains a baffling question. Were they made by our distant ancestors? This is a mystery that has stumped modern scholars and might never be fully explained. Among the hundreds of jars, all but one are completely undecorated. Only one jar stands out, adorned with the image of a frogman. This unique jar adds to the intrigue, suggesting a possible cultural or ritualistic significance that has yet to be understood. The image of the frogman could symbolize a deity, a mythological creature, or a clan emblem, but its exact meaning remains a mystery. According to scholars, these jars date back to the Iron Age, around 500 BC, but some evidence suggests they could be even older. Archaeological excavations have uncovered human remains, beads, and ceramics near some jars, indicating that the sites may have been used for burial practices. The presence of bones and artifacts hints at complex rituals and beliefs surrounding death and the afterlife, further deepening the mystery of the jar's purpose. Local legends add another layer of fascination to the Plain of Jars. One popular myth claims that the jars were created by a race of giants who used them to brew and store large quantities of rice wine to celebrate a great victory in battle. Another tale suggests that the jars were used to collect monsoon rainwater for travelers and traders. The Plain of Jars is undeniably one of the most significant prehistoric sites in Southeast Asia, holding secrets that have yet to be uncovered. This remarkable site undoubtedly deserves more attention and research to uncover its ancient mysteries. Who created these enormous jars? Why were they made in such impractical sizes? Where did the stones come from, and how were they transported to their final resting places high on these plateaus? Could they have been made by a race of giants? And who is our mysterious frogman character? Was this single image a signature left by the original makers of these giant jars? Unfortunately, we may never know the answers. In Siberia, archaeologists discovered a bracelet that dates back to a time modern science attributes to the Denisovan species of early humans. This remarkable bracelet, confirmed by scientists to be 40,000 years old, is the oldest piece of jewelry ever found. The bracelet was unearthed at a site now known as Denisova Cave in the Altai region of Siberia in 2008. After detailed analysis, Russian experts confirmed the bracelet's age and authenticity, Intriguingly, the bracelet is made of chlorite, a stone not found near the cave, indicating that the Denisovans either traveled long distances or traded with other groups to obtain the material. The craftsmanship of the bracelet is astonishing, featuring a drilled hole made with advanced tools, suggesting that the Denisovans had more sophisticated technology than previously thought. Scientists have concluded that this intricate piece of jewelry must have been made by the Denisovans, an extinct species of humans. This discovery reveals that they were far more advanced than we had ever realized. The Denisova cave has also yielded other artifacts, including a well-preserved pinky bone and teeth, which have provided crucial DNA evidence. This evidence has helped scientists understand more about the Denisovans and their relation to modern humans and Neanderthals. The Denisovans' advanced skills in jewelry making imply they had knowledge of techniques and tools that were quite sophisticated for their time. The bracelet's polished surface and the precision of the drilled hole suggest that they had developed a form of technology that was previously unknown to modern science. These findings challenge our understanding of prehistoric human capabilities and hint at a complex and interconnected prehistoric world. Further examination of the intricate bracelet unearthed perplexing revelations, sending ripples through the academic community. Originally presumed to be a product of natural wear and tear, the discovery of a carefully crafted drill hole challenged the prevailing narrative. The precision of the hole suggested not erosion, but the deliberate hand of an ancient artisan wielding what can only be described as a sophisticated jeweler's tool. Dr. Derek Yanko, in his illuminating discourse within the pages of Novice Obesity magazine, detailed the remarkable dimensions of the bracelet's fragments. Measuring 2.7 centimeters in width and 0.9 centimeters in thickness, each fragment bore witness to the artisan's mastery. However, it was the presence of a perfectly drilled hole, approximately 0.8 centimeters in diameter, nestled near a fracture, that captured the imagination of scholars. Upon meticulous analysis, scientists unraveled further clues embedded within the artifact. The drill hole's characteristics hinted at a manufacturing process far beyond the era's technological capabilities. With the revelation that the drill bit rotated at a consistently high speed, displaying minimal fluctuations, experts were left awestruck. It was a testament to the ingenuity of ancient craftsmanship, suggesting the employment of advanced implements ahead of their time. As whispers of this archaeological marvel spread, speculation ran rampant within scholarly circles. The mystery surrounding the identity of the bracelet's creator ignited a fervent debate, leaving even the most seasoned researchers at a loss for concrete answers. The enigma persisted, beckoning those untethered by the constraints of conventional academia to delve into the realms of speculation and wonder.
The ancient Egyptians were masters of the art of funeral rites. Their carefully planned cemeteries included canopic jars for the body parts of the departed, and scrolls containing instructions for the hereafter known as the Book of the Dead. In central Egypt, archaeologists have uncovered a new kingdom burial site that predates the pyramids by 3,500 years. The site is filled with mummies, amulets, statues, canopic jars, and a 43-foot-long papyrus scroll that contains a section of the Book of the Dead, among other artifacts. According to Mustafa Waziri, Secretary General of the Egyptian Supreme Council of Antiquities, who made the announcement in a translated Arabic statement from the Ministry of Tourism and Antiquities, this scroll is characterized by being in good condition and is the first full papyrus discovered in the Al Ghuraifa area. Experts were captivated by the discovery of what appeared to be a copy of the Book of the Dead, a remarkably rare artifact. The cemetery, which dates back to around 1550 BC to 1070 BC, was already noteworthy for the numerous tombs and archaeological artifacts found within its walls. However, many mysteries surround this specific copy of the ancient Egyptian culture book, since very little is known about its contents, despite the fact that it is thought to be 43 to 49 feet long. Around 1550 BC, at the beginning of the New Kingdom, these texts began to appear. Their contents, however, can vary from writer to writer. Therefore, it is unusual to find one that is in good condition from that time. For ancient Egyptians, the chapter's Book of Going Forth by Day was an essential text. According to the American Research Center in Egypt, all instances of the passage provide light on the beliefs and religion of ancient Egyptians regarding the afterlife. As with many issues in Egyptology, our understanding of the Book of the Dead evolves with each successive translation, since it contains fundamental elements of the ancient Egyptian belief system. Even though scholars are still curious about the Book of the Dead, the Egyptian ministry has stated that they hope to have the scroll on display at the Grand Egyptian Museum. Other artifacts were also discovered in the tombs. Canopic jars, hundreds of amulets made of stone and wood, a large number of kitchenware, over 25,000 Ushabti sculptures, and other artifacts were discovered by the crew. The collection's crowning glory was the carved and painted wooden coffins, one of which belonged to Tada Isa, daughter of Aret Haru, leader of the Jehuti priests in Al-Ashmunin. In addition to her coffin, a whole set of Ushabti statues and a statue of the ostrich-like deity Ptah were found next to two wooden boxes containing her canopic vessels. The ancient rituals that ensured heavenly favor after death were guarded by the Egyptian monarchy for generations, but eventually, even the poorest Egyptians could learn them. Carl Richard Lepsius, a German Egyptologist, produced a compilation of old tomb texts in 1842, which revolutionized our understanding of Egyptian spirituality. The chapters of Going Forth by Day was the ancient Egyptian title for what Lepsius called the Book of the Dead. Its 200 chapters provide an exciting glimpse into beliefs on the difficulties, delights, and terrors encountered on the path into the enigmatic domain of death. The texts discovered in Egyptian tombs were thought to be ancient scripture for a long time. Experts in deciphering hieroglyphs later found that the writings were really spells, or magical road maps, given to the deceased to help them travel freely in the next world. The magical content of the writings was known to researchers prior to Lepsius's publishing, but the method still used to study them today is his meticulous arranging of the spells and the assignment of a chapter number to each. The Book of the Dead, however, does not have a single authoritative translation. Although the text's constructions differ throughout the numerous discovered copies of the spells, the organization of Lepsius's publishing allowed researchers to perceive this corpus of work in a more unified light. On mummification bandages, tombstones, sarcophagi, and other grave goods, as well as rolls of papyrus, have been discovered passages engraved. Parts of the Book of the Dead that were originally meant for use only by royalty were derived from funerary texts called the Pyramid texts. These texts go all the way back to the Egyptian Old Kingdom, which began around 2300 BC. There is no known timeline or method for compiling the Book of the Dead. The greatest example that has ever been discovered was found in the tomb of Queen Mentuhotep of the 13th dynasty. During the transition from the Middle to the New Kingdoms, the Book of the Dead's usage expanded beyond the realm of royalty. The belief was that anyone who could afford to print or buy a copy of the text would have a better chance of having an easy time in the next world. During the New Kingdom, which lasted from about 1539 to 1075 BC, the Book of the Dead became more widely available. Some were expensive and beautifully drawn, but others were mass-produced and had vacant areas for the name of the deceased to be added, making them more personal. Even if the wording has changed throughout the years, its purpose has always been the same: to help the dead navigate the underworld and face the trials and terrors that await them, regardless of their social status. During the burial ritual at the tomb, a priest intoned passages from the Book of the Dead. Rituals to get the deceased ready for the journey followed. One of these ceremonies was the opening of the mouth, during which the ceremonial objects were placed on the tomb image representing the dead. It was thought that this ritual would awaken the dead senses. For the ancient Egyptians, this was a moment of hope, as expressed in the 9th chapter. I have opened up every path which is in the sky and which is on earth, for I am the well-beloved son of my father Osiris. I am noble, I am a spirit, I am equipped. O all you gods and all you spirits, prepare a path for me. According to Egyptian belief, after death, the soul would follow the path of the sun god Re on a trip into the underworld. As the sun dipped below the horizon in the west, Re rowed a boat beneath the earth to go back to where he had begun in the east. On this voyage, the souls of the departed would have to face terrifying monsters as they made their way to the afterlife on Re's boat. Apep, a serpent hell-bent on obstructing Re's boat and unleashing global anarchy, stood head and shoulders above the rest. Apep would threaten Re every night. If the deceased were to come face to face with this terrifying creature, Chapter 7 of the Book of the Dead was at hand to offer help. I will not be inert for you. I will not be weak for you. Your poison shall not enter my members, for my members are the members of a tomb. Once the dead had gotten beyond Apep, they would reach a labyrinth with gates guarding it. Each gate had its own unique set of requirements, including reciting a passage of scripture and an associated name. Pass, you are pure, would be the gate's response to an appropriately prayed-for petition. After the labyrinth, the next stop was the Hall of Two Truths, where the dead would be judged by a panel of 42 judges presided over by the god of the underworld, Osiris. The defendant would swear they were innocent of a lengthy list of potential sins. Chapter 125 of the Book of the Dead includes many examples, including, I have not slain people, I have not stolen the god's property, I have not caused anyone to weep, I have not carried out grain profiteering, I have not sinfully copulated, I have not been the cause of terror, I have not been impatient, I have not slain sacred cattle. After the confession came the climax of the trial, the weighing of the heart. The god of mummification, Anubis, who is a jackal, raised a pair of scales. The goddess Ma'at wore an ostrich feather as a sign of truth, and one of the dishes contained one of those feathers. The deceased's soul, representing all that they did while alive, was housed in the other bowl. If the feather and the heart were to balance each other out, the deceased would be deemed to have passed the test. Those whose hearts weighed too much were considered impure and condemned to several horrific fates. On the other hand, ancient Egyptians viewed all their dreams, whether sweet or scary, as full of messages for the dreamer. While modern nightmares often involve falling, being chased by monsters, or showing up to school naked, the most ancient nightmare has far less action. Staring was at the heart of the 4,000-year-old Egyptian night terror. Heni, an Egyptian man, addressed a letter to his father, who had died about 2100 BC, pleading with him to alleviate his nightmares. Seni, Heni's late father's servant, haunts his dreams and stares at him relentlessly. Heni mentioned his mistreatment of Seni, but denied being the one who first abused him, possibly in an effort to appease a guilty conscience. Do not allow him to do me harm, Heni pleaded with her father. Among the 20 or so non-royal letters to the dead, Heni's is among the first allusions to dreams in ancient Egyptian literature. These letters, often left in the tombs of ancestors who have passed away, are written on earthenware or papyrus and contain petitions for favors, such as the resolution of a property dispute or the guarantee of a good childbirth. Throughout ancient Egyptian history, it became normal practice to write letters to departed relatives. Sometimes, in order to get the dead to answer a request, the wishes were written on bowls filled with delicious treats. Dreaming was highly esteemed by the Egyptians because it allowed them to perceive a secret dimension. They not only documented the first dreams and nightmares ever experienced by humans, but they also created the first textbook for interpreting dreams. In ancient Egypt, the noun resut, meaning awakening, was most often used to denote dream. Dreaming was not a verb, but rather a passive noun, something to be watched. As they drifted off to sleep, Egyptians awakened to a parallel universe that lay between this world and the next. It is possible that the gods and the deceased may communicate with them in this area. The author of Behind Closed Eyes, Dreams and Nightmares in Ancient Egypt, Kasia Szpakowska, stated that the Egyptians did not have any internal psychological explanation for dreams, which differs from modern theories. Contrary to popular belief, dreams were never meant to reveal anything about the dreamer's mental state. The Egyptians, on the other hand, interpreted them as signs of things to come. The design of the ancient Egyptian headrest is reminiscent of the hieroglyphic Akhet, meaning horizon. It represents the time of rebirth and life as the sun rises over the horizon between two mountains. Every day, the sun would take up the same amount of space in the sky as a mummy's or sleeping person's head rests against a backrest. The Egyptian pharaohs frequently used the people's adoration of the dream state as a political tool. Written in the 20th century BC, the Instructions of Amenemhat IV is one of the most well-known dream writings. Pharaoh Senusret encounters the specter of his father, who was killed, in a dream that is described in this poem. In addition to instructing his son on good governance, the deceased monarch divulges the grisly facts of his own death. The veracity of the poem is irrelevant. What matters is that Senusret prudently used a dream to memorialize his father and establish his right to the crown. In the New Kingdom, an epoch of unparalleled wealth and power in Egypt, pharaohs dreamed of the gods who brought them important messages about their reigns. When taken at a distance, these dreams appear to have served propaganda purposes by reinforcing their personal stature. Amenhotep I and Merneptah were visited by gods who gave them fortitude in battle. The most famous royal dream is perhaps best known because it involved the Great Sphinx. Because of its placement among the pyramids and the Great Sphinx, several researchers believe the temple complex may have served a divine purpose. Resurrecting the spirit of Pharaoh Khafra would have been the ultimate goal. With the help of the sun and other deities, there is mounting evidence connecting the Great Sphinx to the temple complex of Pharaoh Khafra. Over the years, several experts have put forth many theories on where the Great Sphinx came from, but most of these have been shot down by the more renowned Egyptologists. It is often believed that Khufu built the Sphinx because of the striking resemblance between his face and the Sphinx's. Pharaoh Djedefre, who was Khufu's other son and an older half-brother of Khafre, constructed the Great Sphinx as a memorial to his father. The striped pattern of the Sphinx's headgear has led some to believe it depicts Amenemhat II. In the late 15th century BC, young Prince Thutmose was hunting in the shadow of the Great Sphinx, constructed around 1,000 years before his time and buried in the desert sands. He sat down to rest and fell asleep. He began to dream that the god Re-Horekti appeared to him and told him to clear the sands from the Sphinx. If he did so, then Thutmose would become pharaoh. After the god's request was granted, the prophecy was fulfilled. The dream stela, a stela inscribed with Thutmose IV's ascent to power, was placed between the paws of the Sphinx as a memorial to his ascension. The dream in which the deity spoke to Thutmose personally may have served to validate his claim to the throne, as historians remain uncertain about his ascension to power. While the pharaohs relied on dreams to cement their reigns, common Egyptians sought out dream interpreters to help them make sense of their own nocturnal visions. The so-called Chester Beatty Papyrus contains the Dream Manual, a guidebook that was written around 1220 BC. Lists of dreams and their interpretations have survived, with 139 dreams deemed auspicious omens listed first, and 83 terrible harbingers listed second. However, parts of the work have been lost. An ancient Egyptian tomb inscription from the 3rd millennium depicts a harpist performing a hymn that includes the first recorded use of the famous phrase, "Life is but a dream," a statement that, although one can live forever in the afterlife, this earthly existence is merely a dream. The main idea is a series of dream visuals, an assessment of the dream's quality, good or terrible, and finally, an interpretation that makes up each dream. An example of this is when the handbook states, "If a man sees himself dead, this is good. A long life awaits him." The Dream Manual shows what the common Egyptians were worried about, even if it is more of a collection of possible dream images than a record of real dreams. Many of them, including concerns about money, marriage, social standing, health, and the favor or disapproval of the supernatural, feel like contemporary anxieties. A collection of books containing protective spells, today known as oracular amuletic decrees, became popular in the early 3rd Intermediate period to protect people from nightmares. At the time, Egypt was in the midst of a volatile period in which it was fighting for and ultimately losing its independence from the strong Assyrian Empire. These safeguarding charms were employed by the Egyptians to stave off nightmares and sleep paralysis. Poultices made of bread, herbs, beer, and myrrh can be applied on the face of a dreamer in order to ward off nightmares, according to the Chester Beatty Papyrus. When compared to modern procedures, the ancient Egyptians' approaches to warding off nightmares were surprisingly similar. It was also recommended that Egyptians adorn their bedposts, headboards, and headrests with powerful pictures of guardian angels, such as the fertility goddess Taweret, who was believed to shield youngsters from unpleasant dreams. Many Egyptian moms would wear amulets of Taweret at night, depicting her as a pregnant hippopotamus. It was also common practice to install resembling cobra statuettes in the four corners of bedrooms to ward off intruders as they slept. Bes, a deity with a hideous hunched physique, bowed legs, and leonine hair, was also believed to fend against nightmares. It was common practice to inscribe protective prayers on headrests. The form and construction of headrests have stayed the same throughout the ages, regardless of whether they were constructed for monarchs or commoners. Since dream books obviously weren't meant to serve only the elite, they shed light on the concerns of the ordinary Egyptians.